Hey, welcome to Homebuyer Seminar. We got so much to talk about today. We're like giving away all the good stuff for free before I hit the record button. Welcome, I'm Bill Gross at Bill Gross Probate and Social Media, and along with my colleague and good friend,
Patricia Castillo.
and our colleague and good friend,
Shannon the lender.
and we get together every week and talk about home buying, whether your first home or your next home. So, what do you want to talk about, Patricia? Where do we want to start? We went over a couple of things before we hit record.
Right. So we were starting with the lower interest rates and how they're at the 11-month low right now. So, in other words, they're at the lowest they've been all year. And I haven't really heard too many buyers talking about it that I've been communicating with. And so they're surprised to hear that rates are at almost 6%. Now, if we see another one or two rate cuts this year, that's going to really entice buyers and improve their affordability to buy a home. So if a interest rate, let's say you're at 6%, it drops to 5%, and you're looking at your monthly payment, that could be a couple of $100 that's going to be more affordable. It's going to be lower for you. So when you look at the overall picture for buying a home, there's other costs included. It's not just your mortgage payment does not just consist of the principal and interest, right? There's other fees that are that compile into that mortgage payment, like your property taxes and your homeowner's insurance. And so these are also some of the costs that a buyer would pay at the closing. And so I know we were going to talk about some of the prepaids as well. When I talk to a buyer about prepaids, they're not sure what that term means. And so in this video, we're going to talk more about what prepaids are. Shannon's going to describe that for us. But right now, we are seeing rates closer to 6%. I think it's a really good time to just look at your scenario to see what you would qualify for. And if the rates go down even lower, then your purchasing power increases and you can qualify to buy a little bit more of a house, more home, more space.
Yeah, and also too, I checked the rates yesterday. If you have a 740 FICO, you can get a 5.23 for FHA, and on conventional 5.99. So they are definitely going down. And yet, along with and also too, lower interest rates means lower closing costs, and a part of the closing costs are your prepaids. And what are prepaids? When you have a mortgage, 9 times out of 10, you're going to have your mortgage payment impounded. And what that means is your taxes and insurance are included in that monthly payment. So when you're buying a house, you have to prepay your insurance for 1 year. And then also you have to not only prepay your insurance up front, but at the close of escrow, you have to put in a few months of insurance payments and a few months of tax payments. So whatever that is, let's say, for example, just give a simple example. Let's say in your mortgage, $100 is allocated towards your insurance and another $100. I'm just making it simple, right? Another $100 in your taxes. So you have to, and we'll probably, taxes are not going to be $100 a month. It's probably going to be a lot more than that.
Yeah.
But whatever that number is, the bank wants you to put in a few months in advance in that account to cushion it. Now, the rule of thumb is with your insurance, you put around 2 to 3 months worth of that payment up front. So it's technically you're doing a year and a few months up front. That's a part of your insurance prepaids. Tax prepaids, wherever you close, that's based on when you close, because usually your taxes are due every 6 months. So let's say, for example, taxes are due in June and you're closing in May, right? That's only 1 month that you have to collect up front. But, if you're in January, you're going to have to collect that full 5 to 6 months of taxes. They usually collect that up front. And some banks even do an additional 2 months cushion, on top of that. So whenever your taxes are due, when you're closing, however many months that is, they collect that amount. So they have that amount to pay for the next tax installation. And then some banks do another 2 months in advance. Now, here's the last one. A lot of people forget interest. because people are get excited. Oh, well, I don't have to pay my mortgage payment for another month or for another month and a half. Well, you technically still have to pay that interest. The banks will still collect that interest every day. So people don't understand that, yes, your mortgage payment isn't due right at the day of closing. It's due a month later, but you're paying whatever that daily interest rate is, you're paying that all the way up until that month. And that's a part of your closing costs. So again, when you do get a loan estimate from a lender, and when we do the loan estimates, I always like to have a line item separate that says prepaid. So you understand that, hey, that's technically going towards your taxes and insurance. Is not going to any other third parties out there. So yeah, that's something to take in consideration, again, when you're trying to buy a house. Now, again, prepaids are technically a part of closing costs. So you can get that credited from the seller, in the event that, hey, you get some kind of seller credits that can go towards your prepaids. Your down payment cannot be gifted from the seller or credited from the seller, but prepaid is a part of closing costs, and you can negotiate for that to get, credited to you from the seller. If, again, that's something that you can negotiate with. But 3 Sierra Bill, whoever you're working with, they can help you negotiate that if you don't have that as a part of your budget. So yeah, it's a good thing to know, because a lot of people, when you're buying a house, you just think down payment. That's all you think. What's my down payment? What do I need? You don't think about, escrow, appraisal, homeowner inspections, and you definitely don't think
about
about
your monthly budget. And all the prepaids is like a savings account, so that when you have when you have the taxes that are due and the insurance that are due, the money's already
in that
paid to
account.
some degree, right? And some people choose to impound it with their payment, which is a forced savings. Some people save it on their own. But that prepaid is no different than a savings account. Just in this case, it's going to escrow, and then they're using it to reimburse the seller, because the seller had to pay in advance at 6 months for their property taxes, however many months are left of that 6 months. And your insurance is for a period of time as well. So those are really advanced payments, but you have to think about them in the context of savings, so you can afford that as part of your monthly payment, either saving it monthly or putting it away so that you have the money available when it's due.
And Bill, you bring up a good point. Sellers get reimbursed. So when you sell your house, you do get reimbursed, whatever is left in that, like you said, for savings. Also too, when you refinance, whatever amount is in that escrow account, you do get back, because you're going to create a new escrow account with your new loan. So that's another thing. That money just doesn't disappear.
Sometimes if you're doing a streamlined refinance where you're refinancing with the same lender, a lot of times they'll just transfer. So you'll see it as a credit, because they're just going to transfer it from the existing escrow account into the new escrow account.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah. Yeah. So again, something to think about when you're buying a house. There's a lot of closing costs. There's a lot of things that you probably aren't factoring in. A lot of people are surprised, but if you're watching the show, you should not be surprised. But again, if you work with a good lender, they're going to break everything down for you. And that's why it's very important to tell your lender, hey, you know what? A lot of people will tell me, hey, this is how much I have for a down payment. And I tell them, is this including your closing costs? Is this including everything? Or do you have a little bit more for closing costs? And that's where you have to kind of change the conversation a bit, because some people might say, oh, I have $100,000 for down payment. And I ask, okay, was that for everything, or is that just for your down payment? And that's, again, something that people don't factor in. But again, once you talk to a professional, they'll let you know, hey, here are the breakdown. And I always like to overestimate, because I'd rather tell you, hey, you have to put down 100,000, and at the end of the day, it's 90, 95, than vice versa, where, hey, I'm giving you the lowest possible scenario, and then you have to come up with more. So, yeah. And it's very important too for people who are pulling out of the 401ks. I have a few of those situations where once you pull out the 401k, you can't say, oh, I actually need a little bit more. I forgot. Can I take out more? It's like that one withdrawal.
Right the first time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, the closing costs can add up very quickly. So we'll give you that estimate if you're looking to.
And in my experience, the prepaids are one of the things that throws everyone off. It's like, hey, what is this? Why am I paying for this? What's the situation here? So, yeah, don't get thrown off. again, it's a part of the process. I like what Bill's saying. It's a forced savings. So it's not something that's not money that's just going disappearing somewhere. It's something that's saving for you. So that way, when you're making your monthly payment, you have that peace of mind that your taxes are getting taken care of and your insurance is taken care of. And that way the bank's doing it for you.
That's right.
One of the things you talked about, we started on, was about interest rates and how they affect the value. And I wanted to kind of just share a little bit. You know, the good news is interest rates have come down here a bit lately. Um, though nobody has a working crystal ball. I have a crystal ball. It's right there, actually. It just doesn't really work. But rates come down. I know there's forecasts for continued rates going down, but just in the last, this is since May 23rd, rates went from over 7% down to 6.29%. And there's, of course, there's a variable based on what actual loan you're getting. It could be lower. You might be under 6, as Shannon said. But they've come down quite a bit. And, I also have the thesis that there's still more room to come down. Dramatic news this week was that we found out that we had a lot less jobs created in last year than we thought. The whole
Right.
reason why rates were high as they were was because the Fed believed, according to the statistics from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, that the economy was doing so well, they had to keep rates down to prevent inflation. Well, it turns out that no, they're too high. It's hurting jobs in some regards, if anything. I don't know if it's true or not that we lost jobs or they're created. There's a whole political debate on that. But the reality is, whatever they were using as their basis, they were off by about 1 million jobs. And so it stands to reason, if that's your excuse goes away, the rates should come down, absent any other changes. And so I think it's reasonable to expect that. And why doesn't it happen right away? Because this is politics. It isn't about logic. But I wanted to show a graph. There's a term called inverse relationship. And if you can see this graph, I'll blow up a little bit. An inverse relationship means that when one thing goes down, the other thing goes up. So a perfect example of that is gold. When gold goes from, let's say it's above that, but let's say $1,000 an ounce to $2,000 an ounce. By definition, the gold's twice expensive, but a dollar is half as valuable as measured by gold, right? So there's concern that as gold prices go up, it shows that dollars are going down in value. Real estate is a hard asset like gold. And so as rates go up, inversely, the price of houses goes down for the same house. So you have a $600,000 house, and if rates are at 7%, they go down to 6%. The house is worth more than $600,000, but sellers don't always respond as quick as that. Or the market doesn't move quite that quick. But it's a mathematical reality. Just like water rises and it changes things, rates dropping will change the value of property, maybe not the market price. And so that's why anytime the rates have come down like they have recently, it's a good time taking a look at the market, because that house that seemed expensive, look at the comps, in reality it's now costing you less by percentage. And you can calculate, if you talk to Shannon or Patricia who shows the house, what the difference in house was, say at 6.5 or 6.75 versus now. And the difference is going to be $40,000, $50,000. It's going to be more than the difference that you would buy it at if you're comparing the comparables. And the reality is that house has gone up in value. It just hasn't reflected in the market yet. So the fact that rates have come down is a tremendous opportunity for buyers. And I believe that there's still room, unless something changes. Of course, anything can change every day. But unless something changes, there's room for another, I think, 0.5%. That for whatever political reasons, it's going to take time to do. But for a buyer out there now, you might want to look at the rates, and I would lock in what we have, and those rates may come down over the next year. You can refinance perhaps and save it then. But I do think whether you refinance or not, anybody who buys your house would have to pay more, so the house has gone up in value, whether or not you benefit from the lower payment. So again, that's a long discussion. But when people say that mortgage rates are important to housing, they are absolutely the value of housing. Rates going down means the house went up in value, maybe not in price. And so here's an opportunity for everybody who's looking to buy a house.
That's right. And so what else happens when the interest rates go down? The prices go up, right? So you'll see multiple offers on properties again. In some areas, there are multiple offers now, but you'll see that the prices will start to steadily go up again because maybe a buyer offered 20,000 over on a particular home in, let's say, Downey, which that is still happening here. And maybe in another area in LA County that's not so hot, they may show that the home sold at 10,000 below. So in certain local markets, the trend is going to be different because it all depends on the demand for buyers that want to live in that neighborhood. But when the interest rates come down, you have that flexibility also to bid up on a home because you'll be able to borrow a little bit more money.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And it's funny. I have a a transaction right now I'm doing with, and the buyer's trying to weasel out the deal, in a sense. And I'm thinking, okay, well, good luck, because I've had the buyers call me back saying, hey, that property's still available yet, and we haven't cleared contingencies yet. Well, if something changes, call me. So that's
Right.
when rates go down, yeah, you can look on the market for inventory, but also smart agents look at the active under contracts, and call the listing agents and want to be first in line if the deal falls out to get slipped right in. So.
Now, side note, just last topic here, maybe put you guys in the hot seat. With the job market and AI, do you think the job market's going to get any better? I mean, do you see clients having a hard time retaining jobs? Do you think this is going to get better again with AI? I'm not sure how things are going to go moving forward.
Well, I think you have to look at AI in context with immigration, because what's clear is when you look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics, all the new jobs went to immigrants, whether legal or illegal or however you want to term that. And the new jobs year to date, because of policies of administration, are going to people who are here. So if people are leaving, whether you like that or not, if people are leaving, then those jobs are available for people here, and the employers would have to pay a higher price to get them. I think one of the benefits of AI is it makes jobs that otherwise you might not pay more for, make them more valuable. I'll give you an example. I'm looking to rewrite my social media biographies, right? Every year or two, it's time to kind of refresh your marketing material, and I have about 10 different places where my biography is: YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever. In the past, I wrote it, and so I used AI to kind of generate it. But I also have a list of all the sites, and I put them through AI and got some suggestions. And I can give that to a virtual assistant who I'm paying, she's in the Philippines, $4 an hour, right? But theoretically, if I had an employee here in LA, I would give it to that person too. And that would empower them to be more effective, more valuable for the work they do per hour. And so I think that we all have to look at ourselves and say, can we use these tools to be more valuable to employers so they'll pay us more? And if the answer is yes, you get paid more. If the answer is no, you don't. And so one of the challenges of this, you ask a great question. I don't think anybody knows the answer. I don't think the answer is determined yet. But for each of us, the question better be, well, how can I use these tools to be better, stronger, faster, more productive, more valuable, personally or business-wise, or however else you're in life? And if you have answers, then you'll use these incredible tools. It's just amazing what you get done in minutes. And if you're not, if you're the kind of person that says, oh, they took my job, and would be a victim about it, then it's going to be difficult. And so I think it's really getting a real test for people's spiritual and moral compass going forward. And there'll be a political battle. I think this is going to be a very, like everything else, it's all getting very ugly. It's all very challenging. But I'll say this, I wish, I went through this to a degree when I was young. I moved after graduating college to Florida. People don't remember, but the initial personal computer revolution was in Boca Raton, Florida. IBM moved 10,000 employees to Center Mall there and built what were called in those days IBM personal computers. And they dominated the market until the entire leadership team on one commercial aircraft crashed. And IBM kind of lost their management and got beat by all these other competitors: Dell, Compaq, Hewlett-Packard, and other companies. Apple replaced them. But in the time when I was there, it was an amazing opportunity to be there. And PCs were an amazing increase in skills for me as a new college graduate. And so to answer your question, I think it's a great question. I don't know that anybody knows the answer. But I would just say individually, we all better look at ourselves and say, how can I use these amazing, free in many cases, tools to be more effective, more powerful, better serving my customers? And if we ask those questions, I think the answer is we'll all have jobs and prosper. And if we don't ask those questions, I think it's going to be difficult for some people.
Well, and I think also what has caused some of that unemployment are a lot of stores that are closing because
Mm.
of e-commerce, right? I mean, you can buy virtually anything on Amazon these days. So a lot of stores have closed. A lot of mom and pop shop stores have closed. In fact, there's a store here. It's a Downey Party Rentals, which has been in business for like 60 years. And they just put a for lease sign on the front door. And I
Heartbreaking.
thought, wow, that's really sad. I actually did a small business spotlight video, and it was on my social media and on YouTube. I met the owners, great people, and they've been in this community for so many years. And now there's so many other pop-up rental places on Instagram, right? So you can
Right.
go in and hire somebody on Instagram and they can come. Well, people that have been in the industry in the party rental industry, let's say for 60 years, they may not be as versed with social media and online marketing. And so now we have a younger group of people that are coming in that are entrepreneurs and they're starting their businesses on Instagram,
Yeah.
which a lot of people are on Instagram now. So that has a lot to do with people becoming unemployed and businesses closing
Yeah.
and also major shopping centers. If
Yeah,
you
isn't Party City too? Party City went bankrupt, I think. Like I don't see
right.
any Party Cities
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
It's a
So if you
bunch
look
of
at a shopping mall like the South Bay Galleria over by Torrance, Lawndale, you know, that's there. It's like a ghost town right now, right? There's not a lot of people there. There's the other big shopping center in, I think, is La Puente Hills shopping mall. That what used to be a really popular place to hang out,
I
to go
live
and
there.
visit. Yeah,
I
and
lived in
it's
that
like
mall
a
at one
ghost
point.
town now. They're thinking of building maybe housing there because
Yeah.
nobody is shopping at these
Yeah.
big stores
Yeah.
and big shopping centers. And once you lose the anchor store, which is like the Macy's, Nordstrom's, J.C.
Yeah.
Penney, the other small stores like Claire's, the little boutique stores, they're probably going to end up leaving as well because the anchor stores are the ones that draw in the crowds. So that's another big reason why we have more unemployment. A lot of stores are closing.
I was at Lakewood Mall on Sunday for a family event, and it was packed. But the stores are experience stores. Like my grandson's birthday party was a Dig It, which is like a play facility for kids that you go to and play for an hour or two and leave. And there's an escape room, and there are a bunch of restaurants, bars, Starbucks, this food place, that food place, in the regular mall area. Not as much, retail stores because you're right. And I had a guy here yesterday. We sold a desk in my other office. The guy said, "Where'd you get it from?" I said, "I'm sure I got it at Amazon because I don't go to stores. I mean, I'm very much an online person, and I realize, but it's heartbreaking for these small businesses that are affected. And again, I do think that they have the chance to use technology, and they're already in place, and they have the incumbent advantage. And we all know businesses that have embraced it and done well, but at the same time, we're all surrounded with these local businesses that are being put out of business. It used to be very unfair. Amazon made its initial wave by not paying sales tax. And all of us who were using Amazon at that time were subsidizing Amazon. We're taking money away from our city and county government and state government, wondering why they're going bankrupt. And of course, the local mom and pop shop had to charge sales tax, and they ended up going out of business. That's why there's no local bookstores anymore. And then once they put out of business, now Amazon starts paying taxes. But they don't make a profit. They for the long time have not made a profit. Now they are this year for the first time. They aren't paying federal income taxes. And so one of my real issues about small businesses, we want to support them because they're our community members, they're our friends, our neighbors, and they're the ones who pay taxes. These large corporations, they all have some tax gimmick where all the profits are made in Ireland or some offshore account. And you're really right, Patricia, that small businesses and retailers have really been hit hard. On the flip side, they have a chance, like you and me. We're being competing with Zillow and Redfin and the big companies. Compass, they've never made a profit. They're just spending money to buy agents, and they're all losing. The company's losing money to compete with us. But we also have the opportunity to use these technologies to improve our business. And so my challenge for myself and for everybody listening is, you can be a victim or you can be the victor. And I think it's your choice. I think we have a historic opportunity to use these tools. They're amazing. but at the same time, we should be respectful and sympathetic to local people who aren't able to make those adaptations because it's going to be tough for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love it.
All right, guys, let's wrap it up.
Great episode.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Okay, so last words, Shannon. What do you have going on this weekend, or what should somebody get a hold of you who's looking to buy a house? How they get a hold of you?
Yeah. You can reach out to me either my phone number 661-317-8484 or my website hortonhomesca.com. But yeah, rates are dropping. This is a great time to apply. See how much you can apply for, what the interest rate would be now, because it looks like it'll only get better from here. So
Fantastic. And Patricia, what do you have going on, and how can we help you?
So I can be reached if you'd like information on properties or anything home buying or selling. I can be reached at 323-365-9909.
Fantastic. And good luck reaching her. She's pretty busy these days, selling houses and all kinds of stuff.
Answer my phone.
she still
She still answers her phone, though. I have to say, I don't because I'm busy talking to people. But if I can help you, reach out at Bill Gross Probate on social media. And we do this every week. New episode drops every Friday. Love to help you buy your next house, your first house. And thank you for tuning in and make today your best day ever. Thanks so much.